Echoes of yesterday's rain. Hey there, friend. I've been thinking a lot lately about how life has a way of throwing curveballs at us when we least expect it, especially as we hit those middle years where everything feels a bit more weighted down by the years behind us. I remember sitting on my back porch one evening, the kind of evening where the sun dips low and paints the sky in shades of orange and purple, and I just let the memories wash over me like a soft rain. There was a time when I lost my way after my marriage fell apart. 25 years of shared dreams crumbling like old bricks under pressure. The pain was sharp at first, like a thorn embedded deep in my chest, making every breath feel labored and every day a little heavier. But as I sat there, watching the world quiet down, I started to see that healing isn't about erasing those scars. It's about learning to live with them, to let them become part of the landscape of who I am now. You know, in our 40s and 50s, we carry so much. Kids growing up and moving out, jobs that once excited us now feeling routine, and maybe the ache of parents aging or friends drifting away. I felt that emptiness too, like a hollow space where laughter used to echo. But over time, through those quiet evenings alone, I found a kind of solace in just acknowledging it all, not fighting it, not pretending it wasn't there, but holding it gently, like cradling a fragile bird in my hands until it was ready to fly away. I think about how I used to wake up in the middle of the night, my mind racing with what ifs and regrets, wondering if I'd ever feel whole again. The divorce wasn't just the end of a relationship. It was the unraveling of the life I thought was set in stone. Friends would say time heals all wounds, but in those dark hours, it felt like time was just dragging the pain along. Yet, as the months turned into years, I began to notice small shifts. A morning where the coffee tasted a little sweeter, a walk in the park where the leaves rustling sounded like a whisper of encouragement. It's funny how the body remembers trauma, holding tension in shoulders that slump from carrying invisible loads, but it also remembers joy, in the way a deep sigh can release something pent up for too long. I started journaling, not with any structure, just pouring out the thoughts that swirled like autumn leaves in the wind. Pages filled with questions. Why did it have to hurt so much? What did I learn from the wreckage? And slowly, answers emerged, not in grand revelations, but in quiet realizations that I was stronger than I knew. You might be feeling something similar right now, that midlife tug where the past pulls you back and the future seems uncertain. Maybe it's the loss of a loved one or a career pivot that left you questioning your worth. I get it. I've been there, staring at family photos and wondering how time slipped through my fingers. But here's what I've come to understand. Those moments of vulnerability are where the real growth happens. They're like cracks in a vase that, when mended with gold, become more beautiful than before. I recall a trip I took alone to the mountains, driving winding roads with the radio off, just me and my thoughts. The air was crisp, carrying the scent of pine, and for the first time in ages, I felt a spark of something alive inside me again. It wasn't about forgetting the pain. It was about integrating it into my story, letting it teach me compassion, for myself, most of all. In America, we often push through with that rugged individualism, but I've learned that true strength comes from pausing, from allowing ourselves to feel without judgment. Think about the people we've lost along the way, the dreams that faded. They shape us, but they don't have to define us. I used to blame myself for every misstep, replaying conversations in my head like an old movie reel, but now I see them as lessons wrapped in disguise. Healing, for me, became a daily choice, not a destination. Waking up and deciding to greet the day with a little more kindness toward myself. You deserve that too, friend. In these middle years, when the kids are off building their own lives and the house feels a bit too quiet, it's okay to reflect on what was and dream about what could be. I found comfort in simple rituals: a warm cup of tea at dusk, a phone call to an old friend, or just sitting in silence, letting the world spin without me for a while. It's in those pauses that the heart mends, stitch by stitch. I remember the first holiday alone after the split. The table set for one felt lonely at first, but as I lit a candle and thought about the good times, gratitude crept in like a soft light. Gratitude for the love I had known, for the resilience I'd discovered, for the purrs. On I was becoming. Life doesn't stop throwing challenges, but I've learned to bend like a willow tree in the wind rather than break. And you can too. We've got years ahead, full of possibilities we haven't even imagined yet. So, if you're listening to this, know that your story matters, your pain is valid, and your healing is unfolding in its own time. It's not about perfection. It's about progress, one gentle step at a time. As I look back now, those rainy days of the soul have given way to clearer skies, and I feel a deep sense of peace, knowing I've come through it all. You will too. Shadows that fade with dawn life has a funny way of surprising us, doesn't it? Just when we think we've got it figured out, something shifts, and we're left picking up the pieces. For me, it was the day I got the call about my father's passing, a man who'd been my anchor through so much, gone in an instant. The grief hit like a wave, pulling me under, making the world feel muffled and distant. In my mid-50s, I thought I was prepared for loss, but nothing readies you for that void. Nights blurred into days, with sleep evading me and memories flooding in like an uninvited tide. I wandered through the house, touching his old books, smelling the faint trace of his cologne on a jacket left behind, and wondered how to move forward when part of you was forever missing. But amid that darkness, I started to find glimmers, small, almost imperceptible at first, of light breaking through. It's like when the sun rises after a long night, casting long shadows that gradually shorten as the day progresses. Healing isn't linear. It's more like a meandering path through a forest, with twists and turns that lead you deeper into yourself. I began taking long drives along the countryside, windows down, letting the wind carry away some of the heaviness. The American landscape, with its vast fields and rolling hills, reminded me of the expanse of life itself, endless, resilient, always renewing. You might be carrying your own shadows right now, perhaps the ache of an empty nest as your children forge their paths, or the sting of a friendship that faded without explanation. I know that feeling, the quiet loneliness that creeps in during evenings when the TV hums but the room feels empty. But I've come to see that those shadows are temporary. They fade as we allow ourselves to step into the light of acceptance. I started volunteering at a local community center, sharing stories with others who lost loved ones, and in their eyes, I saw reflections of my own pain and my own strength. It's amazing how connecting with people who understand can turn isolation into solidarity. We laugh about the quirky habits of those we've lost, cry over the what could have beens, and slowly the burden lightens. In these middle years, society expects us to have it all together, the stable job, the perfect retirement plan. But the truth is, we're all still figuring it out. I recall a weekend getaway to the coast, standing on the beach as waves crashed, feeling the salt air sting my face. The ocean's rhythm mirrored my heartbeat, steady despite the chaos. That's when I realized grief doesn't disappear. It transforms, becoming a quiet companion rather than an enemy. You have that capacity too, to let your sorrows evolve into wisdom. Think about the careers we've built, the families we've nurtured. They're testaments to our endurance. But when loss strikes, it's okay to pause, to honor the hurt without rushing to get over it. I found solace in reading old letters from my dad, his words of advice now carrying new weight, guiding me even in absence. Healing came in waves, much like those ocean tides, receding and returning until the pull grew gentler. Now, I cherish the memories without the sharp edge of pain, and I feel a profound gratitude for the time we had. It's not about forgetting, it's about remembering with love. If you're in that place of shadow, know that dawn is coming. Your heart, though bruised, is capable of immense healing. In America, with our fast-paced lives, we often overlook the power of stillness, but I've learned it's in the quiet that we rebuild. So take a moment to reflect on your journey, the triumphs, the falls, and see the beauty in your resilience. You're not alone in this. We're all navigating these waters together. As the days go on, those shadows fade, revealing a brighter path ahead, one step at a time. Gentle currents of change. There's a river near my childhood home that I visit whenever I need to remember how life flows on, no matter what. It's not a grand river, just a steady stream winding through meadows, carrying leaves and branches with effortless grace. After I faced a health scare a few years back, a diagnosis that shook me to my core AC and made me question everything, I found myself drawn back there. The fear was palpable, like a knot in my stomach that wouldn't untie, making everyday tasks feel monumental. In my late 40s, I thought I was invincible, but suddenly, vulnerability stared me in the face. Doctor visits, treatments, the uncertainty, it all swirled like turbulent waters. But sitting by that river, dipping my toes in the cool current, I began to see parallels between its flow and my own life. Change comes, sometimes swiftly, sometimes slow, but it always moves forward. Healing, for me, was about surrendering to that flow, not resisting it. You might be experiencing your own currents of change, perhaps a job loss in this economy, or the slow drift apart from a long-time partner. I know the unease that brings, the way it disrupts the rhythm you've grown accustomed to. But I've learned that fighting the current only exhausts you. Instead, let it carry you to new shores. I started small, incorporating walks into my routine, feeling the ground beneath my feet as a reminder of stability amid flux. The American dream often pushes us to control everything, but true peace comes from releasing that grip. I recall conversations with my doctor, the waiting rooms filled with others facing their battles, and how sharing a smile or a nod created a silent bond. It's in those human connections that we find anchors. Now, post-recovery, I look back and see how the scare reshaped me, for the better. It taught me to prioritize what matters: family dinners, laughter with grandchildren, sunsets shared with loved ones, the knot loosened, replaced by a quiet confidence. If you're riding those waves right now, remember that currents change direction, leading to calmer waters. Your story is still being written, with chapters of growth waiting. Embrace the flow and watch how it heals. Horizons of quiet hope. As I sit here now, watching the horizon where sky meets earth, I feel a deep sense of hope that's grown from the soil of past struggles. The journey hasn't been easy, but it's led me to this place of quiet assurance. You too can find that horizon where the weight lifts and life feels full again. Keep walking. The light is there, steady and welcoming.